What's going on, my babies? Welcome back to another episode of Can of Heaven. Thanks for tuning in and tapping in. And as always, before I start, I want to start with a disclaimer by stating that these are for entertainment purposes only and to always do your own research to come to your own conclusions, to make your own decisions, and I believe in your ability to be your own person. And I also want to apologize for any noises in the background in advance and anything of that nature. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about how to manifest. And basically what it is to manifest, because everybody does it subconsciously, regardless of whether or not you think that you have the ability to manifest or not. Manifesting is just putting things into reality and what we see as reality, because reality is I don't want to say it's not real, because obviously to us it's real, but how to put things from your everyday desires into physical tangibility. And so basically manifesting is just putting your ideas into the world. And how you do that is it's kind of a series of things that you need to um be able to use in a way that will help you get to your next step or to your manifestations. And it's not really something that's super duper complicated, but people make it this overly complicated idea. And I think that the reason for that is because they put the idea or the word manifest, they put that on a pedestal. And so it kind of stops them and it hinders them from being able to actually recognize what manifestation is. And manifestation is all of your wants, all of your needs. It's all of the things that you think that you have or you don't have. And so, with that being said, manifesting is simply whatever you're thinking about continuously. And I say whatever you're thinking about continuously because your beliefs are ideas that you continue to replay and replay and replay and replay and replay. So, for manifestation, it's whatever you believe. If you have a lot of insecurities about yourself, then you probably put a lot of weight to the things that you don't necessarily want to see or the things that you don't like. And because of that, that's what's continuously manifesting. And it can be that idea of something or your perception of that idea. For example, if you're somebody who struggles with depression or anxiety or mental things that make you feel trapped or make you feel lost, then that feeling will continue to propel itself because it's an idea that you continue to replay. So it becomes ingrained in you and you believe that to be true for you. And not to say that those things are not true for yourself, because you can struggle with depression or anxiety, but it doesn't have to be like the key point to your life. And for the majority of people who really, really, really struggle with those things, they struggle with those things because they replay those things and they replay those struggles and they continue to live their life through that belief, right? And it's kind of like if somebody has autism and is a very, very, like it's like a really high diagnosis of autism, then for them, that is their reality, right? They don't necessarily believe that they are not autistic. Why? Because it's one of the main key points of who they are. Or who they are, right? Because we don't have their perception. Like, I can't tell you what somebody with a really, really strong diagnosis of autism would see the world through, because I don't have that. I don't think that way. Just like for people who have anxiety or depression, I am not saying that those things are not real for you if you have them. But you also have the ability to not make that the key point of your life. Like, I know that for the majority of people who have autism and have it to the point where they need assistance with everyday living, they don't really care about the struggles that they're facing because it's not their key point. They don't sit there and reflect on the fact that they have autism. Maybe some of them do, And maybe that some of them don't, but the point is that it's not their key thought. And so when you think of manifestation, you have to think about the things that you do want, and that should be your focal point. And that's how you reach that manifestation just naturally. So if you have a tendency to be like, okay, well, I've tried the manifesting thing, but I'm very doubtful, that doubt will continue to replay itself if you continue to doubt it. And it's not something that you have to be like overly delusional about, because that can also put you in a state of doubt, because you're sitting there thinking that, well, I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to get this thing. And then next day comes around and it's not there. And a lot of people are doubtful of manifestation because of the conscious decisions that play into those ideas and those beliefs. Like if you're sitting there trying to manifest something and it's not happening right away for you, then most likely you continue to go through this wave of like, okay, I believe in it, and then all of a sudden the next day rolls around and you have maybe a really bad day. And that bad day propels you to be thinking about the thing that you want that you don't currently have. And because you're like, well, I don't currently have it, this is obviously why I want it. And your belief of thinking that you don't have it, rather than to be like, I don't have it yet, rather than to think about your manifestation in a positive light, you continue to think about it in this negative light. And usually when we think about our manifestations in a negative way, it's because we're just having a bad day and we're identifying with this bad day. So just be conscious of that, because that will either propel you to have it or propel you to not have it. So how to manifest? It's about you already know what you want. It's really simple. You just say, well, if I don't have $100 in my hands right now, I want $100. It's that simple to know what you want and know what you don't want. It's like eating something and you like the flavor of some things and some things you don't. Well, if you like the flavors of some things, you're more likely to go out and buy those flavors that you do like, rather than to sit there and mope about the flavors that you don't like, and then go buy the flavors that you don't have just to mope, and just to feel bad for yourself. And I know a lot of people have that tendency to do that when it comes to manifestation, which is why I talk about this a lot on this podcast, because it's not that you have the lack of it, it's that you don't have it yet. And if you're sitting there in this idea that you have the lack of that thing, which is why you want that thing, right? Then you will continue to be in the lack state of that idea or that manifestation. Like if you're sitting there and you're like, well, I want to manifest my dream car, but I don't have my dream car right now. And every time that I turn on my car, it turns right back off. And it has so many mechanical problems and so much shit is failing on my car. So it's, how can I be, thinking about this dream car when I'm here facing this struggle? Most of the time, those struggles we tend to focus on. Like if your car breaks down, of course you're going to be thinking about your car breaking down, because it's the most, like, the thing that you need to be the most aware of right then and there. Like life will make you most aware of the things you need to be worrying about, right? So you have a tendency to worry about the things that are face value, the things that are right there, the things that are tangible right here, right now, which is a good thing because you become more responsible, right? And through those struggles that you face on a day-to-day, you can either sit in there and mope in it and be like, well, my car has this and this and this that I have to go fix. But you're trying to manifest your dream car. Well, maybe this could lead you there, but you don't see it that way because you're like, well, now I have to worry about this. So how can I be worrying about getting my dream car? Why can't I just have my dream car? Why is it not here yet? And because we have a tendency to be really, really focused, as people, we tend to focus on the problems of life. Why? Because the problems are there for us to, like, recognize that not everything is perfect. And of course, problems, if there's no problems, there's no solutions. Problems and the bad things in life are the yin and yang to the good things in life. And the only reason that we think that we have to identify so harsh or hard with these struggles that we're facing, we think that that's what it is. This is what life is. I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to get all the things that I want. Why bother to do all of these things? Why bother learning how to manifest if I've been trying to learn and it's not working? So, with that being said, manifestation is a lot simple, or more simple than people make it out to be. You have your wants right there. Boom. You know what you want already. I don't have to explain that to you. You know what you want. You don't have to physically go out and be like, okay, well, I want $1 million. I want to find $1 million, or I want to win the lottery. It doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a ticket every single day until you win the lottery, because that will probably put you in a more doubtful mode, because you're like, well, I can get it or I can't. And it's just a chance game. I'm just flipping a coin. It's not that you're flipping a coin, it's that you have to recognize your gut feelings. And your gut feelings will lead you to the things that you're wanting to get. And most of the time, our gut feelings are very doubtful if we're focusing on the negativity that life puts in front of you. And life is continuously putting negative things in front of you, just like it's continuously putting positive things in front of you. Like if you're really, really hungry and you have a tendency to be grouchy when you're hungry, you either focus on that grouchiness or you go and you get something that will satisfy your hunger so that you feel good. And it's that simple. It's your gut telling you what you need to do right here, right now. If something in your car breaks down, it's teaching you to be responsible, so you go get this thing fixed so that when you have your dream car, you're prepared, you're ready for it. Because you can get your dream car and something could malfunction in that car. Something could go wrong in that car. It doesn't mean that every single time you get into that car, you're never going to have an accident or something's never going to break down in it, because that's just not real. And I'm not, here to deter you from materialistic things, because materialistic things don't necessarily fix your mood. You know what I mean? So sometimes we want things because we think that'll be like a perfect ending to our fantasy story or our fantasy ideas. And because of that, we have a tendency to be in this state of like, okay, this is my fantasy idea of what I want my world to look like. This is what I want my life to look like. And it looks like this. And I know that this one looks like shit. And this one feels like shit. But this one feels like heaven on earth. Well, you have to create that feeling for yourself already, because that thing is not going to be as perfect as you're idealizing it to be. Just like if you look at Jim Carrey, he has a lot of media attention, obviously. And what he talks about a lot of the time is how when he got to this place of fame and fortune, which he thought was his idea of perfection and his idea of happiness, he was very, very unhappy. And he really tries to talk people away from fame and fortune because it doesn't make you happy. But the reason that I feel like he deters people is because people chase these things for the wrong purposes. Most people feel lost because they don't have a sense of belonging, or they don't have a sense of purpose, or they don't have these like animalistic needs or human needs that we all fundamentally have. Like we all want to be accepted, we all want to be loved, we all want to have community, we all want to have a purpose. And because of that, we have kind of like a hole in ourselves. And if you're not continuously feeding that part of yourself, then of course you get filled with a lot of negativity. And the reason that I bring that up is because you need to be positive that these things are going to happen for you, even if they're not happening for you today, even if they don't happen for you in a couple hours, even if they don't happen for you in a couple years. Sometimes it takes a long time. Why? Because we get back into this trap of like, oh, this is coming, and then the next day we have a bad day and we're like, oh, fuck, nothing is coming to me. How could I even think that anything could come to me when this happens to me? And you need to really have the belief in yourself that you're worthy to have this thing. I know a lot of people who manifest out of like spite. which is really funny to me because I always thought, well, if I am not worthy of this thing because of all of my self-judgments, I need to be doing better. I need to be nicer to people. I need to do what they want me to do because that will make me worthy. And for a long time, I thought that that was really true until I saw really nasty human beings get exactly what they wanted. Like, if you look at, I don't know, somebody that I use a lot in my examples is Hitler. If you look at Hitler, he got exactly what he wanted. He wanted to erase, he didn't obviously succeed in his endeavors because his endeavors were stopped by just, humans trying to fight other humans, but he got what he wanted for the most part. He wanted a certain individual race of people or people that he saw as inferior to be gone. And for the most part, he was successful in what he wanted. And why? It was simple because he knew that he had the ability to do that. He knew he could do it. Not that he was worthy of it, not that he would never get there. And for the most part, if you don't have a good self-belief or a self-foundation of who you are as a person and the fact that you can do these things as long as you put your mind to it, then you won't go after anything because you'll be too scared to do it, or you won't feel like you're worthy of it, or you feel like it'll never happen for you because you're not worthy of it. And we trap ourselves in these continuous cycles of like, the only reason we don't get our manifestations is because we trap ourselves in these ideas that, well, I don't believe in myself. Why would this work for me if I don't believe in myself? Why would this come to me if I'm not worthy? Why would I come to this conclusion? Why would I get to this point of life if I know that I'm never going to get to this point of life? Why would I believe it? Why would I believe that I'm going to win the lottery if a billion people are always buying tickets and only one of them wins? Why do I think I'm going to be that special person? Why do I believe that I should be special? And I remember for like a good portion of my life, like a good 10 years of like my like from my teens to my early 20s, I always felt really special. And I had no reason or rhyme for it. I just felt like, you know what, everything good happens. Everything just happens for me. Like, I don't have to try in this world. Everything just gets handed to me. My family's not rich. They don't just give me money, but every time that I want something, I magically achieve it or I magically get it. Like, it's magic. And for that reason, I always felt like I was special. And I got to this point in my life where people started to bully me. My family, some people that I used to call friends, and, people in my life would just tear me down and tear me apart and be like, why do you feel special? You're not special. And that belief was ingrained in me because I continue to replay, well, these people think that I'm not special, so I must not be. And that was when I noticed that my ability to manifest really started to decline. Like, every time that I wanted something, it wouldn't even show up until I physically had to go and do something in the real world rather than before having it just handed to me. And then when I started to backtrack from those beliefs or break down those beliefs that I was continuously replaying, I noticed that my manifestation went back up. Like, I manifested where I'm sitting today. I said I wanted a really private place to record my podcasts because I don't want to record it in my house because everybody's super loud and I know that there's going to be so much background noise. And when I'm recording episodes for my YouTube series, people walk into my room and people don't give me privacy. So I want a place where I can have privacy away from everybody. And I started imagining what would that look like. Maybe I can get a trailer because it's a affordable option for me. If I wanted to go out and buy one, they're not that expensive. They're like $5,000. And at the time I had more than $5,000. So I was like, you know what? I can go out and do this if I really want to. And I started looking at them and there was like a bunch that were really, really nice campers, but they were like 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand. But that didn't make me believe that, well, I'll never get this. And then over time, like a year later, I had my trailer parked by the side of my house. And boom, I sat here and I was like, whoa, I was thinking about this a year ago. I was thinking about having a private place where I can record and having a private place where I can go if I feel stressed throughout my day. And I have a place where I can be quiet. And if I choose to meditate, I can do that freely with no interruptions. And so manifestation is something that you want. Don't let anybody deter you from what you want. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't be, not even yourself, because sometimes we replay other people's thoughts. People think that I'm not special, that I ain't shit. People think that I'm a piece of shit. But it doesn't mean that I have to replay their ideas of who I am. Because only I am here 24/7 with me, myself, and I. And most of the time, the reason that we can't manifest is because of the way that we feel. The way that we feel is the beacon to what the universe is telling, or what you're telling the universe, what we're communicating to the universe. If I feel like shit, the universe is going to bring me more things that feel like shit because that's what I'm communicating to it. Rather than to be like, you know what? This is not what I want. That's kind of like if I went to the store, you have to physically communicate with the people at the store, right? Like, if I went to the store and I was like, where is your worst flavor of candy? And they say, okay, let me take you to the worst. This is personally my worst flavor of candy in this store. And you go and you buy it. And then you eat the candy, you're like, this is disgusting. Why did I buy it? Why did this person tell me to buy it? And it's like, you asked for the worst piece of candy. They gave you the worst piece of candy. And now you're crying over the worst piece of candy. Or you're like, why? And because of that, that's how you communicate to the world. You communicate to the universe through your physical emotions. And if you don't feel shit all the time, like, I know a lot of people who numb themselves. They don't get happy, they don't get excited, but they also don't get sad and stuff because they're like, well, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Then they propel that idea of who cares. And then through a lot of time, things lose their value. So you become more and more on the side of like sad or frustrated or angry or more on the negative side because you've been suppressing the ideas that, you know, life is supposed to be kind of like a roller coaster. And what I'm going to conclude this on is that if you want to manifest, you have to feel positively because the world will say, oh, okay, you want what's more positive because you're being positive. So we're going to bring you more of that positive feeling. And because the world only communicates through feelings, right? They communicate through your thoughts, and your thoughts lead to feelings. So whatever you're thinking about should be those manifestations, right? Like if you sit there and you're like, I want this dream car, how would that dream car make you feel if you thought about it right now? You'd be like, wow, I can already imagine the seats, I can already imagine the dashboard, I can already imagine what driving it would feel like. I would already imagine myself, you know, sitting there and being like, wow, I did this. Maybe to you that's excitement. Maybe to you that's peace of mind because you don't have to worry about whether or not your car's going to turn on. And if you continue to do that for a really long time, as long as it takes to get to that place, then it'll happen for you because you have no doubts. And life will lead you through the gut feelings that you're having. If you're sitting there being positive and you're like, oh, okay, I want this dream car. But for some reason, you know what, I don't have it right now, but it's okay because I'm going to turn my car on and it turns on and you're driving and then it stops on the freeway or something. And you think, you're like, what the hell, if I had my dream car, this wouldn't be happening. And then you're like, in your gut, you're like, you know what, maybe I should just be positive because I know that I'll get there one day. I won't have to face this exact moment in time, but maybe this happens with my dream car, who knows. And so you sit there and you're on the highway and you have, you know, your little flashing lights and somebody stops by you, they're like, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? That is the world helping you to get to the next steps, to help you stay positive, to help you stay focused on the thing that you want. It's not going to be as simple as, oh, maybe you get stopped right on the side of the highway and some rich person magically just, was like, hey, what's your dream car? I'll buy it for you right now because I know that you struggle. Because most likely that's pretty rare unless you physically will like believe that to your core and make that physically happen for yourself. But it doesn't happen right away because the world is going to give you what you are propelling, and what you have been propelling for a continuous amount of time is not feeling like this thing is going to happen for you. Like if I'm sitting there trying to win the lottery, but all of my thoughts up until this point have been, I'm never winning the lottery, then most likely it's going to take a couple tries for me to switch that mentality and be like, you know what? This is it. This is the time. And then it doesn't happen. I can't sit there and be like, damn, it's never going to happen. No, try again. And then try again. And then try again if it doesn't happen. And don't lose that faith or don't lose that idea for yourself, because it is possible. It just takes a little bit of trying to get to that point, and you can't be upset when it doesn't happen right then and there. And the more discouraged you feel in life, the more you experience the inner turmoil, and the more inner turmoil that you experience, the more it will propel itself. It's kind of like if I have a snowball and I'm rolling it in the snow, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger because it's building up whatever I'm building. It's building up because that's what snow does. It collects itself. That's what your manifestation power does. If you are somebody who's continuously sad, then that snowballs because you have no way to stop it. But what you can do is be like, okay, I recognize what I'm doing. Let's redirect. And let's just be positive for a little bit, even if that's just a minute. Even if I can only hold this positivity for a minute. That's how you manifest. You have to care about what you're thinking about and use those ideas of what you want to help you feel good right here, right now. Because not everything has to be about right here, right now. Not everything has to be super duper serious. You don't have to say, well, why am I imagining this perfect scenario if my life is absolute shit? Shouldn't I worry about what's happening right here, right now? Yeah, you should. Because it's going to teach you responsibility. But you shouldn't let that ruin your whole day. It shouldn't ruin your whole mood if something bad happens right here, right now. Because those things are always going to be happening. You shouldn't let that just kill your mood. Yeah, it'll suck. And yeah, you are allowed to feel it. Because that's what we do. As human beings, we're here to feel shit. Along with other things. But that's, part of your human experience. You get to feel stuff. That's why when you get stuff that you really want, it feels super exciting. Because you wanted it. Now you have it. And how exciting is that? So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to end this here because I don't want it to go over by an extreme amount of time like I always do. So yeah, thanks for tuning in and tapping in to A Can of Heaven. I upload Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.